You're telling me Pyrogoyf is a vintage card? Yeah, we can play some vintage then. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Toxic Cat asked me to play a little bit of Vintage, and this is a format that I haven't touched in a long time. So I went to the results of EW Asia, which was very insultingly called the side event at a regional championship, and I kind of combed through some deck lists looking for something that was my speed. And I found something that was about 3 cards different from this. And this is a really cool budget deck. Ignore the power, this wasn't in the original list. The idea is to be an oppressive prison deck list backed up by fast threats in a format that is maybe not ready to address Blood Moon effects. So the original list had extra copies of Chrome Mox, where I have Mox Ruby and Black Lotus. Oftentimes, the Eternal Weekend events offer some sort of bonus prize if you do well while not having power in your deck list, and that incentivizes players to play decks that look like this, or maybe an unpowered Eldrazi deck list. And because I'm just recording for Magic Online, these cards cost like pennies on Magic Online, so we're going to throw a Mox Ruby and a Black Lotus in instead of a couple copies of Chrome Mox here. And we have our own Spirit Guides as our additional red, very important, red Moxen. And we're doing that because we are still using the Soul Land core like you might be familiar with from Legacy. But we get the upside of attempting to shut off literally all of our opponent's mana. Null Rod and Magus of the Moon, or Blood Moon in conjunction, just kind of say no to everything. And we can throw our additional artifacts when they're no longer relevant at our opponent's face with Broadside. We still have Broadside Fury, all sorts of nonsense there. And we can also just Pyrogoyf Dome our opponent and copy it. So yeah, this is basically the deck that I love to play in Legacy, but on crack. Just absolutely on powered up drugs. Like, we get to run Strip Mine Rabblemaster, like, delicious. And we're going to see if this can hang. I essentially clicked on the other aggro tab of MTG Goldfish and rooted around until I found something interesting. I looked at some Merfolk decks, but the cards that were in there were pretty shameful, even by Merfolk standards, so I opted not to go that route. So we're going to see if we can prison some people out here. Sideboard seems very, very pointed to me at the normal vintage stuff. I have heard... I haven't played any Vintage in a while, but I've heard that Psychic Frog is all over the format. So, like, Pyroblast would normally be fine. They are probably better than normal due to Psychic Frog running around this format, too. I'm not sure how overpowered it feels in this format, but I imagine in the format where the random card that you can draw can be a piece of power, that Psychic Frog does still feel absolutely bananas. And so, yeah, let's try to power through a Vintage League here, hoping for some fast games, easy Ws, maybe a Vintage Trophy, huh? Haven't gotten one of those in a hot minute. Anyway, you need some sweet Vintage cards, you need some Null Rods, you need a Black Lotus. TOAmagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU will save you 5% on your order, and Tales of Adventure has awesome old cards in stock. If you go to one of their in-person events and you see this purple banner, they usually have an MP and HP case full of vintage, old school Legacy goodies at a good discount. So, let's battle. You know, I attempted to walk away from my computer to just refill my water, and I queued for my match in like 15 seconds. So good on you, Vintage. This is turn 2 Magus of the Moon. I am on the play. I think I can do better than that. That's a Legacy hand. This is a fucking Vintage hand. Keep this one. Yeah? Yeah. Chancellor of the Annex. That's fine. Is this like a mono white initiative deck list? I'm thinking about whether or not I want my Mana Crypt countered. I don't think I do. So yeah. Cast Trigger. I think we are still going to try for the free one with Blood Moon. A lot of these decks run surprisingly few basics, just kind of due to the nature of Vintage. And there's lots of like Cavernous Souls and Caracas and MDFCs. So hopefully we can get a freebie here. Ooh, we'd like Null Rod now. Vexing Bauble. That's fine, that doesn't do anything. This is exactly what I'm talking about. No rod. No rod off the top, baby. Here we go. Tails never fails. Told you. That's redundancy. Yeah. I think I need Mana Crypt for another turn. Let's just play a Magus. More so than anything else, this Magus might be something to throw at an initiative creature. Cycle Vexing Bobble. You've got it. That's a colorless Mox. There's a basic Plains. My opponent now should be able to play reasonable Magic. Ooh. Slightly annoying here. They have named the One Ring instead of my active broadside. That seems wild to me. I lost the flip. I mean, yeah. Combat. Declare attackers. Send in with both. Opponent will block here. At which point... Is it better for me to throw at face? Probably not. Let's control the board a little bit. Opponent takes 2. Opponent only has 2 cards left, 3 after draw step. I can contest initiative stuff. Yeah, this is fine. My opponent gets a basic Plains. My Blood Moon, not doing much anymore. And a Crypt. Nice. Yeah, that's fine. So yeah. Combat. Attack in. I have Menace. 2 damage. This gets me a basic. Play Mountain. Target Seasoned Dungeoneer. Throw Null Rod for 4 damage. Then play Treasure Machine. I mean Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And pass. Your move. And now my broadside can hopefully just dominate combat versus my opponent's small creature deck. Toxic Cat did not want me to play Mono White Initiative, so hopefully watching it get bullied is going to be fun. Archon. Archon stops the Goblin Shaman from attacking, in theory. And a Crypt. Tails. However, in practice, Forge. Target Goblin Shaman. Now this is a 4-power creature. And I can continue to attack in. Goblin Rabble Master. What would I rather draw? I would rather draw these 13 cards. What about Shatter Skull Smashing? How good is that right now? X equals 3. That's not bad. I think I just keep Goblin Rabble Master, though. There's a lot of mana in this deck list. So we'll just Rabble. The Rabble Master is going to be decently large, so I think this is fine. The Rabble Master is also something great to copy with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Another turn or 2 down the line. Whereas I don't really have something else right now. Opponent's also relatively close to dead. Like, if they attack with this to take the initiative back, I trap them to 7 when I connect with any number of creatures. Guess I'm scared of, like, Solitude-type cards stabilizing the board while removing my relevant creatures. Yep, opponent very much not the beatdown here. Hey, W on the board. Do I like Dismembers? Those get creatures dead. Not the most interested in the lock pieces, so like the Grafdigger's Cage and Vexing Bobble stuff, especially on the draw, is not as good. Those are going to become Dismembers, and then, like, do I just want to play an X-cost creature? Or anything of that nature? I'm going to say no. I think the game where I'm on the draw is a little tough. This is not vintage power level. We'll ship this one. Fuck, man. Lotus, Rabble Master, Mana Crypt, Mountain, Broadside as fucking turn 1. Fuck, that's so good. Things can go wrong. Let the record show that things can go wrong, but this hand is fucking sweet. Wasteland. That's fine. That's not white mana. Okay. Land drop. Black Lotus. Mana Crypt. 3 red. Goblin Rabble Master. 3 mana. Broadside. Combat. Token. Turn 1. Turn 1 win, baby. Red deck wins indeed. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, just the best place to keep your online deck lists, and the reason I say that is it just has so much functionality. So for example, let's take a look at some random legacy deck here. You can click on your various 2-drop slots and you can see what % chance you have of casting various things on curve, and you can get a breakdown of your mana symbols and all of that stuff, and there's a lot more here than just this. Consider checking it out. Okay, I don't have enough mana here. This is a single mountain. Am I on the play or draw? I am on the draw. This is fine, like Chromox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, City of Traders, Magus immediately. I'm good with this. I want the land. Getting rid of one of these two cards. Probably Fable? Opponent's a fan of the channel. Fan of the channel would know that basic lands are good, right? We're playing a fucking mirror match? No. White initiative nonsense. Ooh. That Chromox means that my Magus to the Moon is not really oppressive. Maybe we'll rip a Null Rod off the top. I think my best card in hand is Broadside, but it's very contextual. Opponent says Magus. So, we're just playing Broadside and we're here to fuck? Seems like... I don't know, if they named Magus, maybe Blood Moon is relevant. Yeah, we can fuck later. For now, everything is mountains. Alright. So, my opponent mulliganed to 6 already. The deck has a bunch of expensive things in it, like Seasoned Dungeoneer, that might not be castable without additional mana. So this may buy me a very significant amount of time. We'll see. Yeah. Ooh. We can play the backside of this. Does not cost us life. I think I do Fable into Broadside. That way I just get something good to throw. I think that makes sense. I can also loot away this Spirit Guide that I don't necessarily need. Sometimes I'll keep it to just throw for 5 damage with Broadside, though. Pass of the Dead. Oh, that's just Cavernous Souls with another name. That's fine. This game isn't over, but if I win this one, I wonder if my opponent loses for not naming Broadside here. I don't vintage enough to have the best read on Anointed Peacekeeper patterns. But it's my feeling that if my opponent has access to white mana, and my deck is probably going to be like 50% mana, that trying to stop the Blood Moon doesn't matter more than trying to protect your creatures that are on average better than my creatures. But I'm the one playing the weirdo rogue deck here. So I have 1, 2, 3, kind of 4, could have kind of 5, 6 mana. I think I'm going to loot through both of these. I could also just keep all of it. Ooh. Mighty interesting. Null Rod Pass is like super reasonable. I think attacks are also super reasonable. Ooh. Wow, pitching White Plume here. White Plume was playable as well. Okay, we'll chill. I'll take another 3 damage from this accordingly. And then we'll just kind of hope that Fable of the Mirrorbreaker takes over this game somehow. It was the last card, Seasoned Dungeoneer. No. Take 3. Go to 13. What is that last fucking card? Is it another Solitude? Am I now Null Rodding? Like, it's just taking my opponent off of that white source so incredibly important that I now Null Rod? I don't think so. I think I Fable. The looting is really good next turn if I loot through at least the Blood Moon, maybe the Null Rod. The Null Rod shutting off my treasures and Chromox is a little weird right now. Lotus is probably not what my opponent wants. Chronosphere is certainly not what my opponent wants. And I don't think this gets to attack anymore. I will trade both Goblin Shaman tokens in a fucking heartbeat for it. Come at me. You got those big muscly cleric arms? Use them. Coward. That was almost certainly the right play. Yes, we loot through Trinisphere and Blood Moon. Oh! Oh! Yes. I would like to attack. Yeah. I will make treasure tokens. You may block one of these creatures. Their sacrifice will not be in vain. 16. 4/5 Pyrogoyf. This is disgusting. I get to kill Anointed Peacekeeper. I am then going to get to end of turn, copy Pyrogoyf, send 8 damage directly at my opponent's face, be able to attack with this, and then do another one. So I'm going to have 12 direct damage to my opponent's face before I even count the 12 combat damage plus Goblin Shaman token. Absolutely disgusting. The Pyrogoyfs see each other. So the first one that I make by copying this sees itself and the copy, and then when I copy it again, it will trigger 3 times. Please don't draw Swords to Plowshares here. This is so fucking cool, and I need it. Yeah. Yeah. Bam. Bam. Yeah, so copy again, 12 damage at its face, swing for 14. Delicious. Yeah, I wonder if my opponent lost this one for picking the wrong card on turn 1. Alright, so we played this last round. I think we did Dismember out for... I guess I had a Trinisphere I should have taken out and didn't. That was way off screen. So Trinisphere Chalice out. I'll keep Vexing Bauble as a redraw. Do I want Vandal Blast over Vexing Bauble? I don't hate that. Vandal Blast just like blowing up a Mox or something like that is a perfectly reasonable play. Again, some of my Blood Moon style stuff is worse on the draw. I don't think this is a vintage hand. This is a perfectly fine legacy hand. I don't think it goes hard enough here. This is a fucking gamble if I keep this. This is Black Lotus into Blood Moon, Shatterskull Smashing for no life, Vandal Blast, a turn 1 artifact that my opponent plays. But then I'm down to 1 mana. I think I am going to keep it and hope that it works out. This is a high variance hand. Alright. Opponent has 3 mana on 1. Archon. That's going to slow me down a lot. That means that I don't get to do the cool things. Unless I do get to do the cool things. What am I pitching? Fable or Broadside? I'm not going to have a persistent source of artifacts, so I think probably Broadside. So, wham, what a fucking top deck. That was so good. So, Junk Broadside. Bolt the Bird. Fury goes away. Black Lotus. Red. Blood Moon. Shatterskull Smashing. No life. Vandal Blast. Target Chrome Mox. Your move, Yugi boy! This probably hits both of us pretty hard. I probably on average top deck out of this before my opponent does. And we'll see if I'm right. I don't know how many basics are in my opponent's deck. That sure isn't one. Yeah, the need to play these. I am so fucking good at Magic. Top deck Fury into top deck running lands. Sindri, when you watch this video, let the record show. I know how lucky I just got. That was disgusting. Nice. Hotter than the goddamn sun. Hotter than the sun, these draws. So I'm going to make my token, swing in for 3. My opponent probably dies in 2 turns, right? Like, I attack once, and then I copy Goblin Rabblemaster with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, and we're donezo. That is not a basic Plains. That feels an awful lot like dead. Nice! Combat. Make a friend. Send in my friends. Boop. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. Yep. And I have Reflection of Kiki-Jiki copy next turn available, so fuck it. I'm just gonna play this. Like, I don't think I need to hold back removal here. That should go wide of, I think, anything my opponent has access to. Anyway, my tips for being good at Vintage involve drawing Black Lotus and getting lucky. Opponent says, wonder if I should have played White Plume first. I think I like Archon. Alright, we have gotten the GGs from our opponent here, and we're just bantering a little bit now. So they had a White Plume Adventurer in hand, and they were wondering whether or not they should have played that on turn 1 versus Archon. I think I like playing the Archon on 1 over White Plume. Archon shuts off so much, like, fast mana nonsense that can happen, and if I didn't top deck the Fury, this singularly wins them that game, I think. Okay. This is a fine legacy hand. I don't think a good enough vintage hand. This is worse than the last one. We'll happily go to 5 here. We will sadly go to 4 here. This is a really good hand. Like, this is great. So the real question is, am I null rotting into Rabble or null rotting into Magus? And I think I'm null rotting into Magus, in which case I keep Ancient Tomb. All right, here we go. Let's see if it works. You know, Force of Will is a card that exists. We haven't been paired against a blue deck yet. We've been playing against these white initiative decks, but hopefully this does some damage. Force of Negation, pitching Force of Will. All right, so that's bad. We are not going to have a lot of agency this game, but I believe in Moonman. Volk? Soul Ring. Okay. Ooh. We're going for the freebie here. Don't get me wrong. Like, we are absolutely going for the cheese, shut my opponent off of mana. Nice. Now, my opponent had a chance to fetch a basic. They might not even have basics. I am not super clued into what is happening in Vintage right now. Fuck. Alright. Damage report. How bad? Pass? Pass. Am I attacking into a potential blue flash creature, such as Hull Breacher? Yes. I think so. I don't think my opponent has anything. And if they do, I then get to deploy new cards. Alright, 17. Pass. I only have 2 mana. These are 3. No use for 6 mana. Upkeep. Mystical Tutor. Brain Freeze. Okay. Yes. This seems bad. So Underworld Breach lets my opponent rebuy Black Lotus. So they do that. They can then Brain Freeze themselves. And that's their final card. And this is presumably going to result in me dying. So I don't know what my opponent's deck looks like here. So I am going to wait till I have seen their deck. But there's now enough for our opponent to junk most of their graveyard, replay Black Lotus, replay Brain Freeze, and kind of continue from there. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a bit. Opponent has Tinker in their deck. Is Tinker just a tutor for Black Lotus, or is there some sort of Bolas's Citadel type stuff too? That's the next thing I want to learn. But I'm not going to learn that, unfortunately. They are just milling me out here at this point. Okay. Cage and Leyline seem reasonable here. Pyroblast, Vandalblast may be playable, but unexciting. Does not seem like Fury is necessary. Pyrogoyfs are probably not necessary, they're just cool. So those can probably go. So even if I just do the Graveyard Hate and I don't do Pyroblasts, this is already a lot of slots. My opponent can, in theory, win through a Blood Moon. It's still a reasonable card. Mana, 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 not mana. It's 28. I'm a little short of 50% mana. I really only have 16 creatures, and that's counting Spirit Guides as threats. That's maybe fine. I don't think I do play any of this stuff. Or if I do play them, I am... I don't think I get to play them. Yes. A little bit of a weird yes, but a yes. I'm mulliganing deeply here. So this is a yes where I need to play my threat prior to anything else. The Mox Ruby, Ancient Tomb, Chalice on 0, so you don't get your own artifact mana. And then we go out there rabbling. Hit for 1. And then I can follow this up with Null Rod next turn in all likelihood. Fetch land. And to play with it. Just Sorcery Speed Brainstorm. That's fine. I have to think about whether or not I just want to kill my opponent as quickly as possible, or whether or not I want to hedge for Chalice leaving play. Unless I draw a Soul Land, in which case it doesn't super matter. I think with that draw, I can just play Rabblemaster next turn. I am comfortable playing a Null Rod this turn. Send him. Get big. 6 for 12. Float. Pass to Null Rod. I don't think I need to play a second Null Rod here. Seems tough to lose from this spot. But this is Vintage. Ooh, that doesn't feel good. So, Mountain. Goblin, Rabblemaster. Combat. Make 2 friends. And in all of those friends, brings my opponent to 2. Show me Tinker for some monster from hell. That's Tinker. Do you have some ridiculous, like, Sphinx of the Steel Wind type thing that beats me here? There's a Bolas's Citadel from 2 life. Probably not doing it. It is a Sphinx of the Steel Wind. Do I just have lethal through that? Why bother doing math? I can just attack. I, in fact, am obligated to. Yeah? Pretty sure my opponent's still dead. Yeah, so they are going to gain 6, but lose like 15. First strike damage, regular damage. Alright, we go to another game. Do I want Pyroblast for Tinker on the draw? Seems reasonable. Can I just keep cutting win conditions? I don't think I can cut 4 win conditions. Yeah? 12 creatures? Oh, that's so sketchy. That's so sketchy. Shave a land. I don't know if it's correct to shave a land. I'm almost certainly sideboarding wrong. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Yeah. This is 6 mana on turn 1. Aw. Okay, well, you get to see it coming. How can you respond to that? Basic Island helps out with Blood Moon a lot. So it's ya, 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 and then one of these two cards. And that's a shuffle, so that's good. That's fine. Is Tinker's still alive? Ya, 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 ya. I can hold up Pyroblast for Tinker specifically. What all does Fix of the Steel Wind have protection from? It's fucking everything, right? Does it have protection from Pyroblast itself? I don't think so. I think it's like green, white. No, it is protection from red and green. So if I don't Pyroblast a Tinker, I don't answer that. I think I just passed the turn. Yeah, I think I just hold up Pyroblast or Tinker, because it seems like the thing that beats me here. And then I just Rabble Master with Pyroblast backup. Okay, cool. Opponent does not have more things. And I certainly won't die to my own Mana Crypt. Tails. Hey, what did I just say? I said I won't die to my own Mana Crypt. I am into the card that just gets my opponent dead here. I don't think I need the selection of Fable. Just make dudes. Turn dudes sideways. Don't even have to click on dudes to attack with them. Seems good. Alright, opponent's chilling. I think it's possible that they have another land, and they are slow rolling it to try to get me to use Black Lotus. Tails never fails. Leyline of the Void. Castable card. Interesting. So make a friend. Send in with friend. This is 6 damage. Go to 10. This is still 3 mana for Pyroblast. So I can just cast Leyline of the Void to stop breach lines while still having Pyroblast up for Tinker. Ooh, opponent might not actually have the land. They're going to discard. Junking a Brain Freeze. Tails. Yay. Vintage is fun for me. GG's, we're 3-0. Alright, so I'm on the draw with a Mana Crypt, Mountain, Blood Moon hand on turn 1. I don't have the best follow-up, but I have 2 Blood Moons. I think this is a vintage hand. They only let you play Mana Crypt as a single copy, and if we've got that one card, can't be that bad. Plus, we haven't gotten paired against, like, Workshop and Bazaar decks yet, and some portion of the time we could just roll those for free with a Blood Moon. Mox Emerald? Actual green mana? Or is this just, like, for us? Actual green mana? Sure. Is that it? Are we done here? We are indeed done here. Or are we? Second main phase hipster with your land drop? No land drop. Ooh. Mana Crypt. Cool. Blood Moon. I can try again next turn if this doesn't work. It does work. This is probably not getting destroyed. I think I leave my opponent with this for 1 turn, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It's a mountain. 3, 4, 5. Hardcast Fury. I think I'm good with that being my turn cycle. That's a mountain. Back for 1. Back for 1. I'm at 19. Alright. Tails never fails. Told you. Oh, that's really good too. I think I need my Mana Crypt for another turn or 2 though. So yeah. Cast. Hard cast at that. It does cost me a Spirit Guide to do. That's a very good Force of Will. Pitching a Brainstorm. This is fine. I still have Shatter Skull Smashing to answer this. I still have Nullrod for Mox Emerald. I am not too worried here. Love taps from Deathrite Shaman are probably not super relevant unless I just lose a gajillion D mana crypts before I draw a broadside. Tails. Ooh. Magus of the Moon. I like Magus plus Nullrod this turn. So cast Magus, and then attempt to shut off Mox Emerald. Opponent took some mulligans, right? Another Force of Will. Pitching an Oko. Fuck Oko, man. Oko's too good. Yeah, notably with not a single fetch land in graveyard, the Deathrite Shaman loses a lot of oomph. So I need to draw some threat in the next few turns. Tails. Nice. That is not a threat. Am I willing to trade 2 damage for 1 damage? I think on average the answer to that question is yes. 16. I don't know what sort of like Boseiju nonsense I have to be cognizant of. I'm going to play a second Blood Moon. I think it's unnecessary, but I'm going to play it. I don't know, maybe with the Magus in play I don't have to do that. And I can just keep it as Fable fodder. Alright, no attack there. Opponent can eat Fury from Yard. Sure. Nice. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a Pyrogoyf that my opponent can shrink by 1. Okay, and that's just good enough for the game. Fantastic. And this is where I don't really know how to sideboard. I think conceptually my plan is don't get fucked by Oko. I think that's my don't get fucked by Oko package. My opponent's probably relatively artifact light. I can probably get rid of null rods. I would like to cut 2 more cards. Let's see Chalice being mid on the draw. I could see Trinisphere being mid on the draw, but Trinisphere is restricted for a reason. I also don't know whether or not my opponent is playing basics for, like, Blood Moon type purposes. Let's... Yeah, Broadside is good versus, like, Deathrite Shamans and stuff. Try that. This is a reasonable Legacy hand. I'm kind of playing against a Legacy deck. I don't think it would be crazy to keep this one, but this feels like a very replaceable hand. And hitting the mulligan button has treated me very well thus far. What about this on 6? This has a Fury for a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman, and then a turn 2 into turn 3 Magus of the Moon attempt. That feels reasonable, but unexciting. I think I am going to keep reasonable but unexciting here. And I'm just kind of hoping that my opponent's deck is slow enough that I can get away with this. You know, if they vomit something out with Black Lotus or a couple of Mox in here, I'm probably too far behind to catch up. Delta, crack, Deathrite. Okay, so I have the ability to just answer that. That's fine. That's insane. Fury, Pitch, Shatterskull Smashing? I think I want to be able to play multiple different Magus of the Moon. So that's resolved. Nuke Deathrite Shaman. And we will attempt to push the free win button and see if it generates a free win. Well, I mean, cards like Dismember exist, basic lands exist, Moxen exist. It's not over, but that's damn good. My opponent kept their 7-card hand, too, knowing that I'm capable of this bullshit. Yeah. I can't get Oko'd off Black Lotus. That's good news. Black mana? Demonic Tutor, 2 floating. Just tutor for an answer to Magus, and then I'll play another one. We'll all have a good time. Wasteland? 3 mana? Ooh, fuck that. Respectfully. Respectfully fuck that card. Oh, I hate that. This has to be a regular old land. Pass. Fuck, I was not expecting that in Vintage. That's gonna be hard to beat. But I have things that kill it. And I get quite a few draws in theory. So Broadside becomes one of the better ways of answering that. I just throw a redrop at it. That's my path forward. Oh, it now has 6 toughness. Fuck. I save this. I don't use that to power out another Magus. 2 copies of Magus is not beating this board. And now, like, a Force of Will is very, very good against the stuff that I could do next. Chose not to use the ability. Pyrogoyf does not kill this. Starting next turn, I have to start looking at chump blocking. We're not there yet. This is also outside of Dismember range now. Gross. Yeah, they're choosing not to use the triggered ability. Okay. I will do this. Again, great Force of Will. Like, I will concede to it, because I have to chump block with Magus of the Moon, and then I get Wastelanded off of both lands. Yeah. Concede. Now I got a game where I'm on the play. I want Dismembers. That will frequently kill a Goyf. Still think I want Stonecoil Serpent for Frog and Oko. I could just not Vexing Bauble for one of those slots. Let's hit Planeswalkers. Yes. Just like trim one Fable or something. That's, I guess, reasonable? Yep. The biggest question here is whether I Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon first. And I think I Magus of the Moon first. So Chrome Mox will be imprinting a Broadside. I think with 2 moon effects, I can just play City of Traders here and save the life. So I'm going to play the one that does not get countered by Force of Negation, so that it has to be Force of Will. Nice. Ooh, that is A very good Mox to have. 2 mana. Time Walk. Seems good. That means that something like an Oko could come down this turn. It would be unlikely to happen. Ooh, multiple pieces of power. Wasteland's not relevant right now. Nice. Insurance policy. Cool. 2. If I ever lose these, I have a strip mine, but this probably just becomes broadside aggro. And we hope our opponent does not find Black Lotus or Mox Sapphire. Force of Vigor. Pitching an Oko. Very happy that that did not come down. Rabble this turn, broadside next turn seems fine. Things are definitely sketch if I lose Magus, though. I don't get to play this afterwards. Force of Will, pitching Psychic Frog. Sure. 2 points of damage. That's another mountain. That's not doing it. Fable versus Broadside. I think I like Fable better. Broadside is more immediate damage, but the looting seems very real right now. I would like to find extra redundancy for my Blood Moon if possible. And I don't know. I might still just play Broadside next turn. Just attack for 6, which is effectively attacking for 8, counting throwing a treasure token. Ooh. Yeah, I am not discarding any of that. Nope. So, play Broadside, I'll attack, get a treasure, and then I have Pyroblast up for something like Tinker. Send it. Yeah. That now 4-0? That is 4-0, and we are playing for a trophy with our good friend Pyrogoyf. Okay, we have the Flex Slot Caracas land here in a hand that doesn't produce red mana. We have turn 1 Null Rod, which is like perfectly fine and good, but I might not play Magic afterwards. I don't think I am into that. Yeah. Uncounterable turn 2 Blood Moon. Probably have to get rid of Fury or City of Traders with this hand. I'm gonna call this good enough. This is a bit of a legacy hand, though. I think I'm gonna get rid of Fury so that I still have 3 mana post Blood Moon. I think this is a hand where we could very easily get vintaged by our opponent. Yes. Man, that Fury would be so good right now. Fuck. We can maybe broadside this away eventually. So, this is a good-looking elk. It's in play, though. No fetch. 4 potential mana this turn. The Okos, the Time Walks and stuff, they can start coming down. Hate this. Sure. Yep. Oh, don't Time Walk. No. No. So I think my opponent just kind of comes out ahead of what I am doing here. Turn 1 double mana acceleration into Frog Time Walk. Real good. So they get to draw. I can maybe set up something a little later on. No. Stop. Okay, just going for Mox Jet into a dude. It feels like this was a missed opportunity for a point of damage then. If I play Broadside, throw Vexing Bauble, I kill Oko through Force of Will. We will still have problems, but hopefully we can figure that out later. Okay. Yeah. Like, leaving Deathrite Shaman back soaks up a Goblin Rabblemaster token. That's about it. Menace, great. Oko to 3 loyalty. Target. Oko to dead. Cool. Again, still have problems. Oh, okay. Don't panic. Everything is fine. Rip City of Traders, though. That's also 2 pieces of fuel in the graveyard for Deathrite Shaman post Blood Moon. We're fucked. Opponent has 5 cards in hand. I think if they just immediately go all in on Psychic Frog, they just win the game. Like, discard 4 cards to Psychic Frog, get it outside of range of any sort of Fury, Shatter Skull, Smashing type stuff, and, like, it is fucking done and over with. I would concede right here if I was not playing for a trophy. Since I am playing for a trophy, I will play it out here. Alright, it's in play. I'm going to hold Broadside back. I would really prefer not to lose Broadside, but I am not racing my opponent from this board. At any point, they can just pivot into Psychic Frog beatdown mode. My Blood Moon is not fully denying mana here. Sure. I think I am trading. It does not feel good, but I think I am trading. It's a little weird because, you know, abilities. But I think every Every single point of life is just precious right now. Frog is going to obliterate me. Pyrogoyf is not currently an out. I don't have enough mana. Sure. Ah, it's another one. Yeah, that's fine. And I think at this point, we can stop pretending. Alright, GG. So I'm looking at these cards. First thing I did last time was board out the Null Rods. You want to board out the Chalice. I think I still want all the moons. Yeah. Yeah. I probably want more Pyroblasts for Oko. This is where I'm kind of unsure what to do. I'm not sure if I should be cutting restricted cards, but I don't really... maybe I don't get rid of you. Ah? Yeah. I could maybe go down more on creatures, but my opponent has a decent amount of removal, and sometimes I need to be able to beat Okos. This is turn 1 Fable if I want it, but it's kind of sketchy after turn 1. Like, it's just Fable into Fable, and I don't get to super take advantage of Strip Mine here. I think this is a keepable hand that does not win. That's an unkeepable hand. The 5-card hand is not good. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one doesn't win a game of Legacy. I'm going to go to 4. This is also not doing it, but on 4, I will keep. Can't afford to pitch cards. Can't afford to throw cards. Or expensive. We're just going to go Mountain and pass and not show Mox Ruby immediately. I think this is where the wheels fall off of our trophy race. Oh, no. That's bad. Soul Land? Oh, yeah. So there's an Ancestral, so my opponent does not have to discard. I'll pass the turn here. I'm not going to play the Ruby until it does something. I don't want to incentivize my opponent to play Collector Roof. This is bad, though. I think if I miss a Soul Land on my next draw, I'm just done. Probably Frog. Oh, sure. That's not terribly threatening. Makes my Fable worse, though. Fuck. Demonic Tutor. I think we can all agree that that is not good for me. I don't know what it's going to be. Like, I don't know if this is just going to be Lotus into something broken, or if this is just going to be a Force of Will to back up their 7-card hand. Whatever it is great. Attempt to cast Mox Ruby. It's in play. I am going to shove Magus of the Moon, but I'm shoving Magus of the Moon into a person who just Demonic Tutored. I don't think this is resolving. Pitching Oko. Sure. That was such a fast Demonic Tutor, holy shit. Okay. Wasteland for City of Traders. Yeah. Does not take a wizard to figure that one out. Take 2. Well, I mean, that's what I need. That is absolutely what I need off the top here. Okay, we're in play. I am not looting with this. I don't want to open myself up to a whole bunch of Bowmaster damage. And I can start playing Pyrogoyfs next turn if this gets to attack. That is an if, though. So opponent is coming in. This almost certainly means another Bowmaster. Oh no, it's Fatal Push, sure. Alright, land off the top would be swell. Fuck. Okay. I need Fury. I think I loot once. I loot 1 Pyrogoyf in an attempt to draw a Fury. That is not gonna do it. So I go down to 10. I take 5 damage, go to 5. I need a red source next turn. We don't have much left over here. This is not hardcast Force of Will, though, luckily, I guess. I'm at 5, which is probably effectively 3. That is colorless mana. That's not great. I will cast it, hedging for the future. So if Collector Oof attacks, I block Collector Oof, take 3, go to 2, Ancient Tomb is off, Mox Ruby is back on. So I think my opponent just attacks me with Orc Army token. And then I get another turn to try to do something broken like draw a Fury. Oh no. That puts me to 4. At this point, I am dead. So if I block Oof, I take 5. If I block Token, I take 4. Wasteland gets to take out City of Traders. The wheels fell off at the end there, and we end up with a 4-1 league, which is still honestly really good. All right, this deck list was really strong. I was very happy with this one. I'm not 100% confident on some of my in-out numbers for matchups. when you don't know exactly what the matchups are and what decks to be expecting, it's really hard to sideboard perfectly. But generally speaking, these numbers felt really solid, and I am not surprised that a couple of different deck lists that looked like this did well at EW Asia. This seems like a pretty cool Dark Horse deck. I wouldn't be betting on it to win the tournament or anything like that, but if you need to show up to an event without power, showing up with a couple more copies of Chrome Mox, I think will still leave you with a relatively reasonable deck list. Although just being able to Black Lotus and do 6 mana on turn 1 a couple of times in the league was pretty sweet. I'm going to give this deck a thumbs up. This was a lot of fun. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and should you need any powerful vintage cards, toamagic.com, promo code ThrabenU, let them know that I sent you. Alright, have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya!